Привет! Привет, друзья! Как ваши дела? Сколько лет, сколько зим? We use this phrase in case if you haven't seen someone for ages. I think in English this phrase will be translated as long time no see. Today we are going to talk about verbal aspects in the Russian language, mainly the imperfective aspect and perfective aspect. One of the main feature of the Russian language that distinguishes it from many other languages is the fact that the Russian verb has aspects. So you can see imperfective aspect. In Russian it sounds like несовершенный вид глагола, or the acronym NSV. And perfective aspect in Russian совершенный вид глагола, or the acronym SV. Imperfective verbs and perfective verbs go together in aspectual pairs with the same lexical meaning. Let's take a look at another slide. So you can see verbs писать, написать. Both of them mean to write. Читать, прочитать. Both of them mean to read. Знать, узнать, which means to know. Помнить, запомнить, which means to memorize, to remember, to memorize. So you can see the examples of imperfective verbs, left side, and perfective verbs, right side. And you can see that these verbs go in spectral pairs of verbs with the same lexical meaning, but the difference is in grammar. Let's take a look at the difference. Now we will find out the difference between these verbs. So imperfective verbs denote an action as a process that took place in the past, is taking place in the present, or will take place in the future. Imperfective verbs exist in all three tenses: past, present, future. Perfective verbs denote an action as a result that took place in the past or will take place in the future. Perfective verbs do not exist in the present tense. They exist in the past tense or in the future tense. You can see two main differences between these two aspects on this slide. Let me tell them once again. Imperfective verbs emphasize the process. Perfective verbs emphasize the result of an action. Imperfective verbs exist in all three tenses: past, present, future. Perfective verbs exist in two tenses: past and future. No present tense for perfective verbs. For a better understanding, let's take a look at these two examples: imperfective aspect and perfective aspect. Он писал книгу. Он написал книгу. You can see that when we say он писал книгу, we emphasize the process. The action is named only. The speaker doesn't care what result will be. So we don't know what result will be. We don't care about this. We name only the action and emphasize the process. The second example, он написал книгу, shows the result. The action is completed. The book was written from the very beginning to the very end. The result, completed action. One more thing that distinguishes these two aspects from each other is the fact that imperfective verbs are used when we talk about habitual repeated action. And if you see adverbs часто, обычно, всегда, иногда, редко, никогда, долго, it means that you have to use imperfective aspect of verbs, because this adverbs shows that you use this action, you do this action more than once, or you emphasize the process with the help of these adverbs. For example, долго, for a long time. Perfective aspect of verbs denotes one-time specific action that took place at a specific moment. So the action is single and it's not repeated. Let's take a look at two examples to understand this information better. Let me read these examples. Обычно он начинает работать в 8 часов. This is imperfective aspect and perfective aspect. Сегодня он начал работать в 10 часов. So you can see the difference. First column has adverb обычно, which means usually, and this sentence means that the action is repeated. It is habitual action. The second example, perfective aspect, shows that this is one-time action. It is not repeated. It happened just today, сегодня. Usually this person starts working at 8, but today he started working at 10. One-time action. One more difference between these two aspects of verbs is that imperfective verbs denote several actions that take place at the same time. Meanwhile, perfective verbs denote one action with the result, one completed action that produces another action and which finishes with the result. So one completed action produces another one completed action, and in general, we have finished action, the result. We will take a look at the examples so that you will understand this better, because probably now it seems a little bit weird. So let's read the examples. The first one, imperfective verbs, imperfective aspect. Пока шел дождь, мы смотрели сериал «Друзья». You can see that several actions are happening at the same time. It was raining, and at the same time, we were watching TV show Friends. That's why the imperfective aspect is used here. Perfective aspect, the example. Он открыл дверь, заплатил за пиццу и закрыл ее. Three actions are presented here, three completed actions. One action produces another one, and second action produces another one. So the person opened the door, completed action, paid for the pizza, completed action, and then closed the door, also completed action. So we have the result. It finishes with the result. Okay. Now we are going to talk about how perfective verbs are formed. Actually, I recommend you to memorize verbs already in two aspects, imperfective and perfective. It will be easier for you in the future, and actually it will be really nice if you memorize these verbs in context. For example, like I am writing the book right now, I wrote a book yesterday. This way you will understand these verbs better and it will be like automatically used. So I really recommend you to memorize all these verbs in context. The information that you will hear right now is not the information that you have to learn by heart or memorize immediately. This information is needed to help you to understand the way we form this aspect, perfective aspect of verbs. So you don't need to memorize this information right now. Just try to understand this logic. And you can see the first slide. It means that usually the perfective aspect of verbs in the Russian language is formed by the addition of prefix, like the examples пить, выпить, писать, написать, готовить, приготовить, читать, прочитать, строить, построить, слушать, послушать, любить, полюбить, делать, сделать, видеть, увидеть, слышать, услышать, смотреть, посмотреть. I would like to remind you that on the left side, I write imperfective aspect of verbs, and on the right side is presented perfective aspect of verbs. So you can see that perfective aspect of verbs has prefix вы, на, при, про, по, с, у, and по again. A lot of verbs of spectral pairs differ from each other in their suffix, like suffix "r", "ya", may be changed to suffix "e" in the perfective aspect. Let's take a look at the examples. Сообщать, сообщить, объяснять, объяснить, проверять, проверить, выполнять, выполнить, решать, решить, изучать, изучить. You can see the difference in suffixes. Suffix "a" and "ya" are changed to suffix "e". But I would like to remind you that this is not the rule that works for all the verbs. This is just the way to explain how do we form perfective aspect. So you don't need to memorize it. Try to understand it right now and accept it. Also, the difference in suffixes. Ива to "а", ива to "и". Рассказывать, рассказать, опаздывать, опоздать, спрашивать, спросить. You can see that suffixes "ива" are changed to suffix "а", and suffix "ива" is changed to suffix "и". One more example with suffixes. Suffix "va" is removed in the perfective aspect. Here are a lot of different examples. Let's take a look at them. Давать, дать, вставать, встать, узнавать, узнать, забывать, забыть, закрывать, закрыть, открывать, открыть. You can see that in all these examples, suffix "va" from the imperfective aspect is removed, and we have perfective aspect this way. And one more example with suffixes. Suffix "a" is also changed to suffix "nu", like отдыхать, отдохнуть, толкать, толкнуть, достигать, достигнуть, исчезать, исчезнуть. You can see that in these examples, in these cases, suffix "a" is changed to suffix "nu". Some of the verbs of perfective and imperfective aspects differ from each other in the difference in stress. You can see the examples, 3 examples. Left side imperfective aspect, right side perfective aspect. Рассыпать, рассыпать. Yes, the same word, the same verb, but the difference is in stress and it makes a different aspect. Отрезать, отрезать. Разрезать, разрезать. The same thing here, the same verbs, but the different stress makes the different aspect of verb. Some of the verbs of imperfective aspect and perfective aspect sound and look completely different from each other. You can see the most common examples. Брать, взять, говорить, сказать, класть, положить, ловить, поймать, становиться, стать, ложиться, лечь, садиться, сесть. Completely different. So imperfective aspect left side, perfective aspect right side. You can see that they are completely different from each other. As I mentioned, the information with suffixes, prefixes, stress in the imperfective and perfective aspect is not necessary have to be memorized. You have to just listen to it and understand the way we form them, but you don't need to memorize exactly suffixes and prefixes. As I say, try to memorize verbs already in both aspects, imperfective and perfective. And now there is now there is one more information that you have to memorize. Yes, Please be attentive right now because with these verbs начинать, начать, продолжать, продолжить, заканчивать, закончить, прекращать, прекратить, you have to use imperfective aspect. Always imperfective aspect, never perfective aspect. Let's take a look at the example. Он начал написать. It's impossible to say like this because написать, this is perfective verb. We do not say like this. So it's impossible to say like this. The correct way to say this is он начал писать письмо because beside, this is imperfective aspect, imperfective verb. That's why it is correct. So please be really attentive about this information. Try to memorize this information that after these verbs, начинать, начать, продолжать, продолжить, заканчивать, закончить, прекращать, прекратить, we use only imperfective aspect of verbs. Okay, for a better understanding of this topic, let's practice a little bit. You can see the text here. We're going to read this text and we will try to find out imperfective verbs and perfective verbs. Let me read this text. Джим и Анна изучают русский язык. Они всегда приходят на занятия вовремя и прекрасно выполняют домашние задания. Но сегодня они опоздали на урок и не сделали домашнее задание. Почему? Все очень просто. Вчера ребята долго праздновали день рождения Джима и поэтому проспали. Обычно Джим и Анна просыпаются в 7 часов утра, но сегодня они проснулись в 8 часов. Okay, now you can pause the video, think a little bit, try to find imperfective aspect of verbs and perfective aspect of verbs yourself. And then we will check it and I will explain why exactly this verb is imperfective and this one is perfective. I hope you managed to do this exercise. Now we're going to check it. I used some colors here, so you can see that green color will show us НСВ, which means несовершенный вид глагола, imperfective aspect of verbs, and red color will mean perfective aspect of verbs, совершенный вид глагола, СВ. Okay, so let's take a look at the first sentence. Джим и Анна изучают русский язык. Изучают, this is НСВ, imperfective verb, because we talk about the habit. They do this more than once. This is their habit, that's why this is imperfective aspect. The next sentence. Они всегда приходят на занятия вовремя и прекрасно выполняют домашнее задание. Adverb всегда shows us that this is repeated action, habitual action. That's why verbs приходят and выполняют are imperfective verbs НСВ as well. The next sentence. Но сегодня они опоздали на урок и не сделали домашнее задание. Both of these verbs, опоздали and не сделали, are SV, perfective verbs, because of single action. So usually they attend the lesson in time and usually they do their homework, but today they were late and they didn't do the homework. So it is just one-time action at a specific moment. It is not repeated. That's why it is perfective verb. Let's skip some sentences and let's take a look at sentence. Вчера ребята долго праздновали день рождения Джима и поэтому проспали. I lose my voice, 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so праздновали. it is NSV, imperfective aspect, because we have adverb долго, which shows us that this is the process. We emphasize the process. That's why it is imperfective verb. Проспали, it is perfective verb SV, because it is one time completed action. It is not repeated. Okay. The next sentence. Обычно Джим и Анна просыпаются в 7 часов утра, но сегодня они проснулись в 8 часов. The same thing here. Обычно. This is an adverb that means usually, so it shows us that the action is repeated, habitual action. That's why verb is просыпаются, imperfective aspect. Но сегодня one-time action, single action. Они проснулись. That's why this is perfective aspect SV. Okay, I hope now you understand this topic much better. That's why I recommend you to do the homework, this homework, to understand this topic even more better, to sum up all this information and practice. If you wish, you can write down your answers in the comments below the video. I will check and I will say if everything is correct or if there are some mistakes. Thank you so much for watching this video. Спасибо большое. Please subscribe our channel and tell me please what do you think about this topic, this video. Do you understand the difference between imperfective and perfective aspect better now? I wish you a wonderful day and please also like this video. It is really important for me. Спасибо. Пока-пока.